Today in history, April 19th, 1775, the battles of Lexington and Concord, the day the American Revolution finally went hot. Now, at its core, those battles were fought because the British tried to confiscate the colonists' weapons and their gunpowder. And after years of increasing taxes and control, the Crown decided it was time to disarm the people of Massachusetts to prevent any real resistance. The spark that lit the fuse wasn't primarily a tax on tea, it was gun control. Many people were taught that the whole war kicked off over a tiny tax on tea, and that's overstated. Sure, there was a tax on tea, and that was designed to bail out the East India Company's monopoly and squeeze American merchants. The Boston Tea Party in 1773 was a direct protest, but that wasn't why the rebels in Massachusetts finally rose up with force. In response to the Boston Tea Party, Parliament passed what's called the Intolerable Acts, or the Coercive Acts by the British, which were punitive laws targeting Massachusetts. One of the laws closed Boston Harbor until the colonists paid a massive fine for the destroyed tea. The port remained shut for years, crippling the economy and fueling resentment. The colonists never paid off the tea. They reopened it gradually after the war. Other acts restricted trade, allowed the royal governor to appoint judges and sheriffs and jurors, and created a system that felt like two tiers of justice. General Thomas Gage was appointed royal governor in 1774 with orders to crack down. By April of 1775, tensions were at a breaking point. Gage ordered British troops to march on Concord, about 20 to 25 miles northwest of Boston, to seize colonial weapons, gunpowder, and military supplies. And that was the final straw. Patriot intelligence networks got wind of the plan, and Dr. Joseph Warren sent writers, including Paul Revere, William Dawes, and later Samuel Prescott, to spread the alarm. 2 lanterns in the Old North Church steeple signaled the British were moving by sea across the Charles River. The word went out to every Middlesex village and farm. Revere and Dawes reached Lexington first, warning Samuel Adams and John Hancock, 2 wanted Patriot leaders in hiding, that it was time to flee. Prescott eventually helped carry the alert all the way to Concord. The militia and the Minutemen mobilized quickly, and in the early morning hours of April 19, 1775, approximately 700 British regulars under Lieutenant Colonel Francis Smith marched from Boston towards Concord. Warned in advance, Captain John Parker assembled 70 to 77 or so Minutemen on Lexington Green. About 5 a.m., the British advance guard, led by Major John Pitcairn, confronted them, and Parker, recognizing his men were vastly outnumbered, ordered them to disperse without firing. But a single shot rang out, its origins still debated by historians, prompting the British to release a volley and charge with bayonets. 8 militiamen were killed and 10 wounded. The British suffered 1 minor casualty, a soldier, wounded in the thigh, and Parker's men scattered, and the Redcoats continued their march to Concord, leaving the dead and dying on the green. The British column reached Concord around 7 or 8 a.m. Colonel James Barrett commanded the local militia, which had grown to several hundred men. Barrett positioned many on high ground, which was Punkatasset Hill, while the British searched the town, and some burned captured gun carriages, sending up smoke that alarmed the approaching militiamen. By about 9 or 11 a.m., roughly 400 to 500 militiamen, including Acton Company led by 30-year-old Captain Isaac Davis, advanced towards the North Bridge. When asked if his men were ready, Davis famously replied, "I haven't a man who is afraid to go." As the militiamen approached, the British detachment, about 100 men under Captain Walter Laurie, withdrew across the bridge and fired a volley. Davis was shot through the heart, and Private Abner Hosmer was killed. Major John Buttrick of Concord then shouted, "Fire, for God's sake, fellow soldiers, fire!" The militiamen returned fire in what Ralph Waldo Emerson later called the shot heard round the world. The exchange was brief. 3 British soldiers were killed and about 9 wounded, while the Americans suffered 2 killed and a few wounded. The militiamen withdrew briefly, but the British, now outnumbered and shaken, abandoned the bridge and fell back towards the town center. Lieutenant Colonel Smith prepared to withdraw, commandeering wagons and horses for the dead and the wounded for the long march back to Boston. Over 1,100 militiamen from surrounding towns had converged, and continuous harassment began near Merriam's Corner. For hours, as the British retreated eastward along what became known as Battle Road, swarms of Minutemen, now numbering in the thousands, fired from behind trees, stone walls, swamps, and buildings in a deadly guerrilla-style fight. Around about 2 to 3 p.m., a relief force of about 1,000 to 1,200 men under Lord Hugh Percy reinforced Smith's column near Lexington, and this provided some relief, but the fighting intensified. The bloodiest phase occurred in Monotony, now Arlington, with fierce house-to-house combat. An exhausted British column finally limped back into Boston around 7 to 8 p.m. By day's end, the militiamen, estimated at about 3,900 to 5,600, engaged over the course of the day, had effectively besieged the city. The colonists suffered 49 killed, 39 to 41 wounded, and 5 missing. And the British lost 73 killed, 174 wounded, and 26 missing, totaling around 273 casualties. The day's events marked the first major bloodshed of the American Revolution, showing that determined colonial militiamen, using local knowledge and decentralized tactics, could stand up to the British regulars. And the shot heard round the world became a powerful symbol of the spark of independence. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. God bless you, and stay free.